Hi, I'm Dempsey Palat, and this week I'm reviewing Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw was directed by David Leitch and stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Jason Statham, Idris Elba, and Vanessa Kirby. And the film follows the famous duo from the Fast and Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw, as they team up to save the world from a deadly virus that's being sought after by a cybernetically enhanced anarchist. And this film was a lot of fun. Believe it or not, it takes the franchise to the next level. And that's pretty incredible when you consider just how far this franchise has come. What started off as films about cars eventually turned into films about international heists, and with this one we kind of get an introduction to the world of science fiction, so truthfully that just means that we're one step closer to seeing Vin Diesel in space. Now, this is the kind of mindless action film that you just can't hate, even though it really isn't perfect, but before we discuss its flaws, I'd really like to tell you all the things that I loved about it. First and foremost, Johnson and Statham, whoa, their chemistry is as sharp as ever in this film. And Kirby, she makes for quite the spectacle too. She is probably the best part of this film, or at least she was the best part of it for me. She plays Statham/Shaw's sister, and she gets into a lot of the bits that Johnson and Statham do in this film. She really does get in the middle of them, like literally and physically. And I think her performance in this film is going to be particularly exciting for all the people that saw her in Mission Impossible Fallout last summer and just really wanted more from her. I think she's a very fine actress on the rise, and after this film especially, I'm very excited for what's to come. Idris Elba is yet another fine addition to this franchise, and it was actually pretty refreshing to see him as the villain again, just because the last time I saw him as a villain was in Star Trek Beyond, and not to say that his performance wasn't good, but it didn't really seem like he was having fun with it, whereas in this film, he is having so much fun. Psychologically, physically, and speaking about the physical components of this film, the stunts are incredible. David Leitch is a monster, and he wins the award for like the coolest director around right now. None of his films have been disappointing to me, and honestly I can't think of a director nowadays who's pumped out so many memorable action films back to back to back. I mean, Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, and now this one. And I mean, obviously, and you can't forget John Wick, because John Wick is where it all started. But this guy is just a beast. And I mean, all the action sequences in this film are like extraordinary, and I know most of them are CGI, but even the practical ones, they're so expertly choreographed. It's very rare to find a film, and I can't even think of that many, where the stunts are just as humorous as they are entertaining. He does a really good job in this film, especially at balancing the entertaining aspect with the humor. Honestly, I think he was a match made in heaven for this film. One other thing that I really liked about this film was the fact that it maintained the theme of family, which has been around since the very first Fast and Furious film. And I already mentioned that we do get that extension of Deckard Shaw's family. We meet his sister. However, we also meet some of Luke Hobbs' family members too, and it makes for some great cameos. I mean, this whole film has some really great cameos. I mean, this whole film is just great. But, as I also mentioned in the very beginning, it was flawed, and yes, we do have to go back into those. Let's talk about some of the things that didn't work in this film. What's probably my biggest issue with this film is that at times it's hard to suspend your disbelief, and I know that this franchise is just filled with moments that you just kind of have to suspend your disbelief, especially in Part 6, where Vin Diesel flies out of a car to catch somebody midair, okay? Trust me, I ate that up when I saw it. But here, you know, it's not so much the things that are happening. I mean, there are a lot of ridiculous set pieces, but I think it's more so some of the character choices while those ridiculous things are happening. For instance, the henchmen. The henchmen in this movie seem so stupid. Literally walking into danger, voluntarily getting beaten up and just getting knocked out. They're probably the dumbest henchmen that I've seen in a very long time in a movie. And I don't know, that part to me just really didn't make sense. There's literally a scene at the very end where one of them is like practically dead, and Idris Elba's character comes up and he's like, "You don't die unless I tell you to." And the guy's just perfectly fine all of a sudden. See, it's little inconsistencies like that that really got me. And speaking of the ending, the entire third act just seemed pretty inconsistent, but I'm not talking about in terms of story or even character. I'm actually talking about the setting. The film goes from being in the middle of the night to like the middle of the day, and then to like a stormy evening, all over the course of like half an hour. And how do I know it's half hour? Well, because in the third act there's a timer present and a countdown that's relevant to the plot, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil anything. But you see the day quite literally change in what is believed to be in the film half hour, and I just wasn't buying it. But at the end of the real day, this is a film that belongs to a brand that's built itself on going big and occasionally ignoring continuity. As flawed as it may be, it's still a fine addition to the franchise that abides by way too many F words, the most important being fun. And because of that, I'm going to give this film another F word. 4 stars.
That's an understatement.
Guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, if you like this video, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, I would ask that you please subscribe. I post new videos weekly, and I've got some stuff that I'm working on the side as well. For instance, I just dropped my 2nd episode of my brand new podcast with my friends. It's called A to Z, and I'm not biased or anything, but I hear it's pretty funny. Just saying. You should check it out for yourself and decide for yourself. I'll put the link in the description box below if you want to. Now, if you see this movie, if you liked it, if you hated it, talk to me. I'd love to hear what you guys thought about it in the comment section below. Personally, that's my favorite part about having this channel, interacting with you guys, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys had to say. But that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys once again for taking the time out of your day to view these videos. It really does mean the world to me, and I love making them. So, I should probably get back to work. Until next time, I'm Dempsey Pilat. Take care.